Hey fans and subscribers, this is your host Joe from the Gaming for Insight channel with another video of Quick Chat. The topic, the new MSI Claw A8 at Computex 2025. Joining me is first time guest, the Silicon Fox. The Silicon Fox, welcome to Quick Chat.
Thank you, Joe, for having me. It's very nice to be here. Love the show.
Well, this is very exciting because you are on the ground in Taipei, Computex 2025 this year, and you got to go to an AMD special event, and
Yes.
you got to see the Lenovo Legion Go S, but you also got to see the MSI Claw A8, and we've recently had some news about the A8 coming out, and we understand that this MSI Claw has an AMD APU this time, the Z2 Extreme. So you got to go hands-on with this and actually play a game with this device. What were your first impressions of the model that you went hands-on with, and how much did the Z2 Extreme APU from AMD, how much did that shape your impression here?
Well, I'll say my first impressions with the unit, it was heavier than I was expecting. They have a new type of plastic shell they're using versus the older Claw. I couldn't get specifics on it, but you can definitely feel it. It's a lot more angular, a little sharper on the edges. Still ergonomic, but it's kind of a different feel versus the older models as soon as you pick it up, especially the Intel one. And as far as the Z2 APU itself goes, it's interesting because you can definitely tell that they're tuning things a little differently than the stock silicon you'd find in like what goes into a laptop per se. So again, I asked about it and everyone's very mum's the word. But performance wise, it kind of shocked me because I'm used to the regular Ryzen APUs with 890M. And if you feed them 28 watts or so, you get decent performance. But this Z2E APU, from what I could tell, it actually wasn't running full tilt, maybe like below 25 watts, but still matching what the regular silicon would do at 28 watts or so, which was very, very impressive to me. So there's been some kind of under the hood tuning that's happened. We just don't know yet because there's only so much we can look at behind these closed door demos.
You mentioned 25 watt, and in the time that you had with the Claw A8, you actually got to go into the quick access menu of the MSI Console M, and we saw that the mode that the A8 was on was AI engine mode. You also discovered that endurance mode is available,
Yes.
and this is familiar with the Intel variants of the MSI Claw. Now, is there more to understand about using the AI engine mode and endurance mode on the A8, particularly in this case with the Z2 Extreme APU instead of the Intel SoC that we've seen with the MSI Claw, that we can use the AI engine mode?
Well, I think, what I believe we're being told is that they're trying to actually leverage the NPU inside the chip to actually push some of these AI features, specifically behind efficiency and power gating. It's not working yet, as I've found out, but I think that's going to be the real huge draw versus the Intel model, because that one actually doesn't leverage the NPU. It's more kind of a smart switch thing, something built on top of the scheduler to dictate where power's going. Because at the end of the day, that's really what these features are for, is to figure out, okay, if you're setting this, you're playing, I don't know, like a visual novel or whatever, that's less GPU time, less CPU time. This AI engine mode should be able to intelligently power gate that. So that's kind of the big ticket feature I'm looking at. And from the reps that I spoke to, that's also what's being communicated. So we're just going to have to wait and see whether the work gets done to that.
It's really neat. I've really wanted to see the AI engine mode used with an AMD APU. So this is exciting that you were able to go hands-on with this. Let's talk a little bit more about MSI Console Center M and the quick access menu, what you experienced in looking through that. You got to see some familiar AMD technologies like the AMD fluid motion frames, AFMF. This is frame generation at the driver level,
Yes,
available
it is.
through the AMD Adrenalin experience. What was your experience like regarding this? You actually toggled it on and then would experience some gameplay. It's not clear whether this is version 2 or version 1, but what was your experience like?
So my experience with it was definitely rough. It's still in the embryonic stage. I could tell that it's probably version 1 because there's this layer of crosstalk missing between actually toggling it and it working. There's actually about a 2 to 3 second delay before you actually start feeling the frames take over, and it's missing a lot of inputs itself. So even when the driver is reaching to fill in the frames, a lot of data is missing through. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done. Hopefully it gets done soon because it's a great feature and I'd love to see it implemented properly.
Absolutely. It makes me think that the maturity of the AMD driver is not as it will be later on, but
Right.
still really neat that you were able to discover that feature and look into that further. Let's wrap up with one more question I have.
Of
I
course.
did see that you got to the A8 MSI Claw and the Legion Go S side by side at the event.
Mhm.
You got to actually compare, contrast, you weighed them. So the Legion Go S was lighter than the MSI Claw A8 from what you discovered. Other than that, what other differences or anything significant that you discovered in comparing, contrasting the two devices?
I think that this will be probably conjecture to some people, but actually, the MSI model feels lighter than the
Interesting.
Lenovo one, and and the reason for that is because on the Lenovo model, a lot of the edges are rounded. It's got very wide contoured grips, so most of the weight you're gonna feel is actually not distributed in the center. It's more towards the grips a little bit. So when you hold it, there's almost this kind of fatigue on the ends. It's not heavy per se, we're used to holding these larger handhelds, but you can definitely feel the weight. On the MSI model, they more so move things towards the center. The grips feel lighter and they're more angular, so they sit in your hands in a certain way where it doesn't really feel like you're holding the bulk of the heft. It was a very interesting design, and that's kind of what stood out to me is because when I first picked them up, I'm like, wow, this MSI one definitely feels lighter. I was wrong, but when you get a chance to hold it, you'll see, man, those angular lines and contoured grips really do a lot to kind of trick your brain into where the weight is being distributed.
I believe it. Looking forward to holding one myself, especially that green one.
Yeah, no,
That one
it's sharp.
really,
Very
yeah,
sharp.
I'm all over that one. Well, Silicon Fox, it has been a great pleasure to have you on, especially there at Computex 2025. Hope to have an opportunity to learn more from you and discover more from you on your trip. Thank you so much for joining Quick Chat. Fans and subscribers, like and subscribe for more Quick Chat on the channel. Silicon Fox, take care.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.